Please join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. The Town Council has been made aware of the passing of a military veteran. Mr. William J. Patrick Jr. passed on June 9th and served with the 847th Medical Group, 5th U.S. Air Force, Japan, United States Air Force during the Vietnam War. I'd ask that all those in attendance please join me for a moment of silence to honor Mr. Patrick. Thank you. The first item of business is the approval of the meeting minutes from June 6th, 2023. I believe everyone, with the exception of Councillor Gallagher, was present and can vote.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay.
Abstain.
And one abstain. The motion passes. Moving on to announcements from the president. There are no announcements this evening. Moving on to item C, proclamations. There are no proclamations this evening. Moving on to item D, citizens open forum. The town council welcomes and encourages participation and public feedback. If anyone from the public would like to address the council, please come to the podium, state your name and address, and we ask that you kindly keep your remarks to 3 minutes. I will sort of watch the 3-minute mark, and I'll give you a quick little signal as we approach 3 minutes. Is there anyone that would wish to speak? Okay. Seeing none, we will close Citizen Open Forum and move ahead to item E on the agenda, appointments. We have multiple appointments. We'll start with item A, the Historical Commission reappointment. We have Matthew Casey for the term of 2023 through 2026. I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We have open space reappointment. Maureen
Nation.
Manasian, apologies, for the term 2023 through 2026.
Move to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Item D, we have a planning board reappointment.
C.
Oh, sorry, item C, we have Parks and Recreation reappointment. Thomas Arrighi for the term 2023 through 2026.
Motion to approve?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Item D, we have two. We'll do them separately. We have the planning board reappointment for Raymond Ajamian for 2023 through 2026. Do we have a motion?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We have planning board reappointment for Stephen Geller, 2023 through 2027. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We have item E, tree committee reappointment, Raymond Ajamian. We have for the term of 2023 through 2025. Do we have a motion?
Approved?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Zoning Board of Appeals reappointment. We have Brian Heath from 2023 through 2026.
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Item G, Board of Assessors reappointment. We'll do them separately. We have Milton Morris for the term 2023 through 2024. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. Also for Board of Assessors, we have Ronald Barron for 2023 through 2026.
Motion to approve.
We have in a second.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. And finally, for the Board of Registrars, we have Christina Porter for term 2023 through 2025. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. To everyone who's volunteering and those who were successfully appointed, thank you for your time and dedicating your time to support Bridgewater. Greatly appreciate it. The next item, F, hearings. We have none. Moving on to item G, license transactions. We have one. Maybe just a clarification. For license transaction, do we treat it as a public hearing? Okay.
Yep.
So the time is 7:09, sorry, 7:06. I'll now open the public hearing for item petition P 2023-033. This is the granting of the transfer of an all-alcohol beverage license for Young Smith, Inc., doing business as Bernier's Liquors. This hearing has been duly advertised in the Enterprise and on the town's website and may be voted this evening. To open this, I'd like to first ask if anyone from the petitioner is present and if they would like to give a brief description of what they're seeking.
Sure. Thank you, counsel. Good evening. My name is Matt Porter. I'm the attorney for the applicant. Along with me is Nimesh Patel. Mr. Patel is one of the two principals, along with his wife, Ruby Smith Inc. He's the president, treasurer, secretary, and also the proposed license manager. For the board is the transfer of the all-alcohol license for Bernier's Liquors at 905 Plymouth Street. Mr. Patel brings a wealth of experience. He's been in the liquor industry for over 15 years now. Owns several other locations. They've had no violations whatsoever in their stores. He's alcohol tip certified, as is his wife. Mr. Patel will be the on-site manager, meaning he'll be there anywhere between 40 to 50 hours, probably more. No major anticipated changes to the business whatsoever, so no changes to the structure of the business, no changes to the hours. So just a transfer of the existing business there. There is a request of a pledge of the license and inventory to Rockland Trust, who is financing the purchase of the real estate. So in addition to the transfer license, we'd be requesting approval of the pledge of license as well. So with that, I can certainly answer any questions that the board may have, and Mr. Patel can as well.
Great, thank you. Are there any general questions from the public? Seeing none, does anyone from the public wish to speak in favor? I see none. Does anyone from the public wish to speak in opposition? I see none. And then are there any questions from the town councilors?
A motion to amend. The petition erroneously refers to 233 Broad Street, and actually the correct premises of the petitioner is otherwise recited, which is, I'm looking for the address, but on Plymouth Street.
What is the address on Plymouth
It's
Street?
905 Plymouth Street is
905.
is the license address. So I did notice that as well. It looked like the ad that ran was entirely fine, and even if you look at the second page of what the town posted, like the follow-up page has 905 Plymouth, so I think there was just an error in the way that it was written.
Second.
We have a motion to amend the second whereas clause. Currently says 233 Broad Street. It would be amended to say 905 Plymouth Street. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. We can move ahead with a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion to amend passes.
I'll make a motion to grant the transfer of all alcohol beverage license under petition P 2023-033.
I'll
Do I
second
have to
that.
close the hearing first?
So you want to close it?
Yeah,
Close the hearing
maybe just before the motion. Thank you. No worries.
I
The
won't.
time is 7:09. I will now close the hearing, and I would entertain a motion to approve.
I'll make a motion to approve the transfer.
Second.
Great. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. The motion passes. Congratulations.
Good luck.
Mr. Gallifrey, if I could we also have just the approval of the pledge on the record as well? I know the state will look for that as well.
Okay. That's the pledge to Rockland Trust?
Yes. So essentially, Rockland is financing the transaction and is asking for a pledge of that license back.
Okay. I see that we can do that.
You can do
So I would entertain a motion to, maybe if the wording on that,
Just approve the pledge to Rockland Trust.
to approve the pledge to Rockland Trust.
I'll make the motion to approve the pledge to Rockland Trust.
I'll second it.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. The motion passes.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'll send it off tomorrow to the
Okay, sounds
ABCC.
good. Thanks.
Okay, moving on to item H, presentations. We do have one presentation this evening for the Downtown Revitalization Update for Mr. Robert Rulli, Community Economic Development Director. Mr. Rulli?
I'm waiting for my assistant to.
Share the screen.
It's an internship for the summer. Can I take? Yep, it is. Okay. Thank you, everyone. So we last got together on April 11th when we had the workshop. I just wanted to bring you all up to speed on what's happened since then. Okay. Where? So we've got we've reached out to, we've got a whole team together now in terms of branding and public relations. This is a variation of a logo that we're using. The tagline is revitalizing the heart of Bridgewater, vision to reality. So you'll see different variations of this. Next slide, please. I think most of you have seen this. This is what we call the one-pager, kind of summarizing what the expectations of the council were in terms of supporting what the effort is. If you came in through the front door, we have this on an easel now and downstairs, along with some other renderings. This will be included in our promotional materials going forward. Next slide. So, one of the big questions was, we're going to be able to move the MBTA platform. I'm here to tell you that we had some conversations and a meeting with the MBTA. They are in agreement that we can move the platform. They won't pay for it, and we knew that. But the fact that they're agreeable to move it, as I think I shared earlier, we had this conversation with the university. The university had no objection to the relocation. So this is really what I thought would be 3 meetings happened in 1 meeting, that they agreed that the platform could be moved. So we're working now to get some engineering specs. There are a lot of moving pieces to this, but just knowing that the platform can be moved somewhere in that Spring Street lot allows us to continue with the vision that we have. So community outreach, our goal right now is to hold a community workshop on the evening of September 26th, that's a Tuesday, at a site and time to be determined, most likely at one of the schools at night. We're going to, as you'll see, spend from tonight forward, getting out to the community, engaging the community, getting input, but with the idea that the community comes ready to discuss and react and share what their reactions are to what we're proposing. Next slide. So the website we have a dedicated website that went live on last Thursday afternoon. I'm not going to go through the whole website, but I'm not actually going to go through it at all. It's not going to come up. But that is the address. I think it's pretty impressive in terms of what we've been able to create with the website. Don't know why it's not coming up.
Do you want?
We can go back to it. I mean, it's not that. So this is the landing page. This is a rendering of what a reimagined Campus Plaza can be. As you'll see, there are a number of tabs in there. Again, we're not going to go through the whole thing, but a lot of information, has links to all the previous studies and plans that have been done, has a calendar of events for upcoming events, one of which will be tomorrow night. We're doing a presentation to the Bridgewater Business Association at Barrett's at 6 o'clock. And we'll keep updating this as we go forward, but this is going to be a really good resource for us to get information out and sharing. Really pleased with how this has all come together. Again, trying to illustrate for people kind of change that we're thinking about, and get out of this now. Go to the next slide. So as we start to promote what's happening on the 26th September, we're having rack cards printed today. Those will be going out to local businesses, which people will be able to grab. This is the front and the back of what those rack cards look like. Again, encouraging people to reach out to us with ideas, thoughts, comments. If they want us to come speak to their group or individuals, we're happy to do that. Next. This is a poster highlighting what's going to happen on 26th. You'll start to see these around the community as well. As we go to different events, we'll be taking these posters with us and leaving them there. Next. We're also going to be doing individual mailers to residents in town. This is the front and back of what that mailer is going to be. It's got a QR code so people can get information. I will say that we're also working very closely with the Masters of Public Administration program at Bridgewater State. They're going to do a number of different surveys for us to different groups of residents, students, both before and after the workshop to gauge what public engagement is. Again, trying to create some excitement and energy for what this effort is. Next, please. So there's a thing called social media, which at my age, I'm just learning exactly what it is. But in the last year, I've learned to use LinkedIn, and I only use LinkedIn to promote what I do for the town. So I just want to share that. So the last week, we've had a concentrated effort every day to push something out with respect to downtown revitalization. So in the last 7 days, we've had 1,834 impressions. We'll discuss what that is, but that's an increase of 1,279% over the last 7 days. And that's not to say I didn't have a presence before, but we've got a really significant presence now. And impressions are, you know, when people on LinkedIn see what you've posted and then somebody else sees what they posted. So this is very encouraging in terms of those people that use social media, that we're getting the message out and that people are paying attention to what we're doing. Next slide, please. And then the town, my department has its own Facebook page in addition to the town's Facebook page, and we've been, you know, seeing a significant increase with respect to what the reactions have been there as well. We've got 27 new followers. We're reaching over 5,000 people. Post engagement is almost 800. So in terms of just responding to all of the different avenues that we think we need to get the message out. And this is before we've launched anything formally. Again, the website just went live on Thursday. I'll share with you in a second what we're doing with small business, but we're very encouraged that we're engaging people that perhaps weren't engaged previously in terms of what we're doing in town. Next slide. So we have a small business outreach program that started. We've met with 8 local businesses already, one-on-one. The meetings happen by appointment, or we just drop in with our consultant and Nicole from my office on Wednesdays. We'll be initiating a small business assistant program, which will be kind of one-on-one consulting with businesses, whether they need help on marketing, whatever it is to set up their business. And then after we have those meetings, we're posting that to the department's Facebook page, promoting that we were there, what they do, and that is what's generating all of the impressions with respect to the Facebook page. Next, please. So simultaneously, as part of the MBTA communities, we know we have to do the zoning amendments, and we're talking about, adopting a form-based code. The preliminary scoping has been completed by the Horsley Witten Group. That was paid for by a grant from the Mass Housing Partnership. Last week, we were advised that we had received a grant from the Community Planning Early Action Grant. We just got authority to release that information today. That's from the governor's office. That will allow us to move forward with the drafting of the zoning amendments and the form-based code, with the idea that our goal is to have that done and before you by the end of this year, so we can be a full year ahead of what the deadline for MBTA communities is. So all of this is being paid for with non-local funds. Next, please. No, that's good. So I just want to share, this is a video that's in beta form. Al Acerto, a local resident, has done this for us. We are putting this out for post-production editing. There's some tightening up of fonts that have to happen, some transition. Our goal is to get this out on a regional, statewide, national platform to promote what we're doing, but I wanted to share with you, what we've gotten done so far. Our expectation is that this will go live next week. Again, this highlighting Campus Plaza being transit-oriented development, how we could reimagine what it could be. And this is that same perspective coming from Spring Street eastward into the site, and then coming out of the site. Which, if you look really hard, you see the T station in the very rear. Again, we think the Cybersecurity Center at Bridgewater holds a lot of opportunities for us in terms of new jobs, bringing businesses here, and supporting the housing. Again, these are some of the font things that we need to deal with, but just wanted to give you a sense of what it is that we've been working on. There's more somewhere. Nope, there. I just want to get to the next one. So 110 days, you say, what does that mean? Every time I come here, I tell you how many days I've been here. This is what we've got done in 110 days. And last slide. So any questions or comments you have, I'm happy to answer.
Thank you. Counselor Lindy?
Looks great, good stuff. Could we get a copy of that?
Yeah, sure.
I like the video, looks great. It better with music and voiceovers, of course.
Yeah, but I mean, Al did a great job
And I
for us.
like how it transitions from ugly to nice.
Yeah, it's not necessarily ugly. I mean, it's who we are as a community, and I think that it celebrates the sense of community that already exists here and that we want to build upon that. But certainly happy to get you all copies of that.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Counselor Chase?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just wondering, Bob, with respect to the MBTA platform, would you anticipate that there would be some grant funding opportunities to cover the costs associated with the movement?
Sure. I mean, certainly, we're going to be part of the MBTA communities, and we're going to be eligible for funding through that. As I've said earlier, the fact that we're changing zoning and creating density, we're probably going to be looking for developer contributions for that as well. I mean, the estimated cost is somewhere between $5 and $10 million for the construction. MBTA is very interested in public-private partnerships now, so there could be some negotiation in terms of the plowing of the parking lot. And I mean, they'll maintain the platform itself, but they're also looking at different options in terms of what the materials used for the creation of the platform are. So there's a real possibility we could go to some kind of composite construction that would reduce the costs and reduce the maintenance costs as well. So, I mean, for my purposes right now is just getting an acknowledgement that the relocation was a possibility. But certainly we'll be looking at any funding assistance we can get.
Thank you.
Thank you. Counselor Gallagher?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just a few questions, and to kind of go off what Councilor Chase said, I am disappointed that the state just kind of simply said, sure, go ahead, but we're not going to pay for it. But I do think it's something that this council kind of agreed that, you know, we think that's a big part of the plan that you have is to have that station moved. However, I wouldn't give up on the state. I would try to get, you know, special legislation passed to see if we can't get something thrown in the budget or things like that. The private partner relationship is important. I just, hopefully, we can get that and not have to rely on the taxpayers of Bridgewater to pay for it if that's a last resort option, because that might be a tougher sell. Getting back to Campus Plaza, how committed at this point are the owners of Campus Plaza to pretty much agree with a village type of atmosphere on that property? And what do they want from us in order to move forward with that? Or are they 100% in? Are they still, you know, where are they with that? Or will we know more in 110 days or so? Yeah.
Oh, yes, to all the above. So when I first approached them, their position was they were dressing that up to sell that. As we started to have conversations, they backed off and said, you know, they're willing to look at it. So at this point, we've shared everything that we've done to date, the resolution that came from the council supporting the vision that we have for revitalization. They were encouraged by that. They're encouraged by knowing that the MBTA platform can be moved. I mean, we don't have any kind of written commitment from them, but we have open dialogue with them. But at the same time, if they were to sell that property, another property owner would benefit from the efforts that the town has in place. I think that by their own acknowledgement, that's an underperforming asset for them. Whether they'll put that in print or not, I don't know, but I'm just encouraged that we're continuing to have the dialogue and we're able to show progress moving forward with what we said we were going to do as a community to effectuate the type of change that we want to see there.
Right. And I'm glad to see in the presentation that Broad Street was not forgotten, and hopefully Bless you. Hopefully, things percolate to try to get that project, or some similar to what's been proposed in the past, off the ground. That would be a tremendous boost to our downtown. And I do like the schematics of the common. So hopefully, something will come to us soon to make a decision as to whether we want to reconstruct the traffic flow in the common, so we can move forward with that. The one thing that was not in the presentation, maybe I missed it, was the Perkins Foundry project. I did watch the planning board meeting when they made their, one of their proposals, and I know you commented on it, and I did have some concerns. However, do you think that's a realistic project? I know they're going to be coming back to the planning board with some sort of compromise or whatever. I would hate to see that property become another 20, 30-year eyesore like Broad Street has become.
Yeah, and that's fair. We actually met with representatives of that project last week. We shared what the vision is with the town. They expressed, what experiences they've had over the last 3 years. They've committed to reorientate those buildings in the front so that they front on Broad Street, which is consistent with what we're asking for.
Okay.
There potentially are some environmental concerns there. We have a call on Thursday to address those. So I think there's definitely a spirit of compromise on the developer's position in terms of understanding what we would like to see. Longer conversation in terms of how the planning board interprets that, but I think that the opportunity to rethink how those front buildings are used and not make them 100% commercial, perhaps commercial on the ground floor with residential up, orientating those towards Broad Street. And I think there's a real opportunity to have restaurants with a large patio with outside dining and a very attractive kind of reuse of that. So I'm encouraged that we're moving forward with that. I think it's important that we show that we have some forward progress. I totally respect the amount of money and funds that the developer has invested in that prior to January 9th when I started. So I think, again, compromise in that case is a win.
Right, you've got, because, I look at this and we have three major projects, really. You have Campus Plaza, which we have kind of approached them and say, don't you think this would be a good fit for Bridgewater? Then you have Broad Street, which is something that has come to the council, and they've kind of withdrawn from that request, so to speak, because they didn't get, everything they wanted. Maybe they'll come back. And then you have Perkins Foundry, who wants to develop it, is going through the same thing. So you have three different elements here. All of them I think, would help Bridgewater. Yes, there'd be more people, there'd be more housing, but the housing is needed. The MBTA station, I wouldn't give up on that as far as state funding. And I'm curious as to, when we get to that point, what corporate monies could be sought after to help fund that. And maybe the developers of Perkins Foundry might even be able to be part of that. So there's a lot of give and take. I think I like what I see. I think we have a long way to go, and I think we're on the right track. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions from the town council? I just have a few maybe final questions. One is, we mentioned moving the MBTA platform. I think we've talked about this before. I just wanted to confirm. It's moving the platform and the parking.
Correct.
Right, to find local parking. Great, thank you. I was excited to see metrics that confirmed receipt of messaging. I think in the past, we often claim victory when we send something out. And I love the idea of claiming victory when we confirm that somebody received it and understood it. So I think as you continue to share the story with others, information and metrics that kind of help us understand how that's being received, how many people have seen it, et cetera, is really helpful. So that was great. I think that's probably, maybe just one last quick question. On the social media, you mentioned we are sort of tracking metrics. Are we targeting people from Bridgewater in that audience? So are these sort of like relevant impressions, I guess?
I would say that in terms of my personal LinkedIn, that's whatever universe of people that are bored enough to follow me and think that I'm interested. I think more focused is the department Facebook page. We're seeing A lot of the responses they're responding to when we promote local businesses, which is, what we want to do. But I think, one thing that we've realized early on, and which we knew, is there are a vast majority of the people have no idea any of this is going on. So, that's critical step one, start to get that information out. When people are aware of what's going on, they're very excited about it. So our presentation at the Bridgewater Business Association last night, it's all about what we're doing. That's the only agenda item. We're going to be going to the senior center in the next couple of weeks. So we're starting that comprehensive public engagement process, going where we need to go, meeting people where they are. And I think that's going to start to snowball a little bit when people start to get excited. We're fortunate with the funding that we have. We have a very robust professional consultant team together. We're going to be pushing this story out regionally, nationally, in terms of the comprehensive approach that we're taking. And that's why we want to get the video tightened up. We'll be putting out a press release in the next couple of weeks, coordinating that with you and Michael. But we've got a good team together. This is a really interesting story. The fact that we've been able to get the funding that we've gotten so far to help us with this is really amazing. My experience, I've never had this luxury before of, won't call it free money, but having, the governor's office reached out to us after we put an application and said, can you execute a contract by the end of this month? We said yes. We executed it today, we got it back today. So that's the money that's going to pay for our consultants to redo the zoning. That's big, that's $70,000.
That's excellent, yeah. And I know we've often heard in the past that the town has done a lot of studies and they tend to sit on shelves. And so I think as part of this, I'm excited for the residents to see how all of those studies, I think probably for the first time, have sort of come together into a common vision that builds on the best ideas in all of them. And
110 days.
yeah, so it's great. So thank you. If there's no additional questions, we'll move ahead. Thank you, Mr. Ruby. The next item we have is item I, Town Manager's Report. We have two items. First, the High Street Bridge closure update.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I think as the council knows or has heard, the High Street Bridge did not close on Monday, June 19th, and the reason for that is that the timeline got slightly altered because of one outstanding special permit that was submitted to State Marine Fisheries, I believe, which would have enabled the contractor to start work early. So that permit takes more time to process, I guess, than the contractor or the engineers had anticipated. So I learned actually just before coming into the meeting that the closure is now on track to happen on Monday, June 26th. We could go ahead and close the intersection, or close the bridge, close the road at that location, but I just figured, if there's no work going to be occurring before June 26th, then let's leave it open so that people can enjoy the last few days or week of being able to travel that road. So that's the status of the closure. It's still on track to reopen in mid-October. And again, for those that don't know, this is all, these timelines are all built around what are referred to as time of year restrictions. And those are restrictions that concern fish migrations that are set out by Department of Marine Fisheries, and they dictate exactly what times of year you can actually be working in the water. And it's a small window, hence trying to get a permit for getting in the water early, which we were assured would be fairly easy to do, has turned into a little bit more of a process. And partially because I think Marine Fisheries realizes there are more fish migrating later in the season this year than there have been in prior years. So So that's the update on the closure timeline. Obviously, now that we have this information, we'll post it in all the places, and we'll put it up on the electronic boards that indicate a closure on the 19th. We'll now change that to the 26th. So that's where we stand on that. The contractor is ready to go. Obviously, this is what they do, but 4-month period to get the dam removed, get the bridge removed, and then get the bridge replaced is aggressive, but they know how to do it. So that's what I have on that, but happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any questions for the town manager? Yep, Councilor Lindy?
Does that extend it out one more week?
No. Nope, that's hence the challenge to the contractor. They've got a very specific window. So it doesn't I shouldn't say that. It doesn't necessarily extend it out a week on the back end. It could, again, that's all dependent on the progress they make and another permit that would be required by Marine Fisheries.
Okay, also a quick question on the other end of the street, the Wall Street area. Will there be some signage up there? Because I'm watching people literally just blow through that stop sign on a regular basis.
Yes, the short answer is yes, there will be, but I'll double check on exactly what it's going to say, certainly. That's on the north end.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's Wall, and I didn't get the Wall and Elm.
Okay. Nope, I will check on that.
Thank you.
Okay, do we have any other questions? Maybe just one last quick question. You mentioned that the permit was delayed. Is that something that's being coordinated by the town or the contractor or the state? So I guess maybe who's got their finger on that pulse?
That is being coordinated by, no, not the town. So it's essentially Division of Marine Fisheries, Department, the Division of Ecological Restoration, Mass DOT, a bunch of different folks that are at the state level.
Okay, thank you. Moving on to item B, Bridgewater Rain Barrel Program.
So I just thought I'd take the opportunity, our water department has done a great job of sourcing rain barrels. And for those that don't know, rain barrels essentially capture runoff from your gutter or the collection of water that comes off your roof through your gutters, captures that and then is available to reuse in order to water plants and flowers and so forth. It's been a very successful program in other towns, especially last year during the drought. Rain barrels were very popular with folks, and there were folks in Bridgewater were asking, why can't we do that? And I'm happy to announce that we are going to offer that. And we'll get the information all up online and share it through Facebook. But we are offering a discounted rain barrel. The cost will be $89 plus an extra $25 off if you plug in a coupon, and you just simply go to a website, not our website, but you go to a website. It's www.greatamericanrainbarrel.com/community, and you can select Bridgewater and then select a coupon code, which is Bridge23. And you can purchase a rain barrel. They'll be available on July 29th at the High Street Water Department Maintenance Garage. And the deadline to order is July 17th. But as I say, we'll get all this information out and widely distributed so people can take advantage of that deal. But again, for people that want to look it up, it's greatamericanrainbarrel.com/community. So it's, as I say, a great program, and helps reduce water usage, obviously, locally, so that helps our water department. So not only does it help folks watering their garden, it also helps the water department have to distribute less water through the system. So I encourage everybody to take a look at that. So that's good, and I'll give kudos to the water department for organizing this and getting the program up and going. They've done a great job with that. But happy to answer questions.
Do we have any questions for the town manager? Maybe if I could just confirm the distribution, I just want to make sure I understand. So people would go online with a coupon, order it. Sounds like it's in the 60s, like 60-something dollars with the coupon. All of those rain barrels that are ordered are then delivered to a public facility in Bridgewater. Residents would go to that facility to pick up their rain barrel and bring it back to their house. Is that
Correct.
the way it works?
And the pickup is, there's just one pickup day. It's Saturday, July 29th, and at the High Street Water Maintenance Garage, which is right near the new High Street Water Treatment Plant.
July 29th.
Sorry?
29th?
July 29th. Yep, Saturday, July 29th.
Great.
9 to 11.
Thank you.
But that doesn't, you can't show up and just buy one. You have to buy it online
Yeah, it's
prior to that.
pre-order.
Pre-order, exactly, exactly. And you can get up to three households.
Thank you. Any additional questions? Okay, seeing none, we'll move on to item J, discussions. We have none. Item K, committee reports. Do we have any committee reports? Seeing none. Item L, legislation for action. The first item we have is order O, FY 22047, loan order for the fire station. I'll defer to the town manager.
Thank you, Mr. President. This loan order, for those that were at the prior meeting, you may have remembered voting for this. Bond counsel tells us that the loan order required a 2/3 vote. Unfortunately, at that meeting, we only had 5 counselors. All 5 voted for the loan order, and then obviously it went on from there to a debt exclusion vote. But bond counsel tells us they need 6 votes, a 2/3 vote. So it's back in front of you for a vote, hopefully that we can then forward on to bond counsel and go ahead with the loan.
Motion to approve?
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion? Okay, seeing none, we can move to a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes unanimously.
8-0.
8-0, sorry. This is keeping me honest.
8-6. Next.
Thank you. The next item B, Order O FY 23-060, adoption of a 5-year capital improvement plan. Budget and Finance meeting met prior to the Town Council meeting.
Budget and Finance recommend 2-0, this, the adoption of the 5-year capital improvement plan.
Thank you. And I see that the Finance Committee voted 7-0 to recommend at their 6/12/23 meeting. I'll defer to the Town Manager to introduce this.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is our annual presentation of the 5-year capital improvement plan. It has not changed dramatically from last year. I do expect, as I explained to Budget and Finance a little while ago, this is just that you're not committing to do any of the items. You're not committing to purchase any of the items or any of the buildings or so forth on the capital improvement plan. This is simply our projection of where we think monies will need to be spent on town-related capital. We've incorporated, as best we can, the school district's capital requests and laddered those out pursuant to the way the district has laddered out their requests as well. We know we'll have additional items to add to this over the next year, and those are things we're working on right now. For instance, some of the hydraulic studies that are being done right now with the water department will have an impact on next year's 5-year projection. So that sort of gives you an idea of how this can change year to year. And again, it's just a projection of where we see the needs for expenditures over the next 5 years.
Do we have any questions for the Town Manager? Okay. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion.
Motion to approve.
Motion to approve?
Yeah, we have a motion and a
Second.
Any discussion?
The only,
We don't,
yeah, I have a comment.
oh, yep.
Yeah. Me or you?
No, you.
Okay. Oh, sorry. The only comment that I'll make, and I did bring this up in Budget and Finance meeting, is that if you look at this, it's something that some of us might not be on the council when this comes forward, but it's something to take note of, and I did talk to the town manager about this, is if you look at page 12 and 2025 and 2027, there's a total of a potential of $45 million being asked for road construction and maintenance. And we all know we have some serious deficiencies in some of our roads, we know that. Even for, I think 2024 is fiscal 24, is about $8 million in requests. So the only thing that I would say is that hopefully we reach out and try to get as much state assistance, federal assistance, and other avenues. I just hope we don't have to go to the taxpayers of Bridgewater for this. I think that there are grants and through federal grants, federal programs, state grants to help us with this. And we need to show the voters or the taxpayers of this town that we have gone that avenue, and then whatever may be left, we may have to ask them, but not the full amount. So this is a big undertaking. I love to see this plan, Mike. Every year I say, I think it's great that we actually have this now. We don't really have the money to do all of this, but these are certainly identified worthy projects that need to be done in this town. I just want to be cautious that we're not asking the taxpayers to fund this all directly. We're hoping to look for other avenues to help fund these projects. Roadways roadways are a big, big part of this plan.
Thank you. Yep. Councilor George?
Thank you. Through you to the town manager. This is just an ask. Pages 14 through 28. If you print them off, you can't read them. So can we get, I mean, it's nice to have it here, and I can, blow it up, but when you print it off, you can't read any of it. So I think we need to have that out there, easily read, so that people can read it and understand it.
That actually came up at the Budget and Finance meeting, so we'll take a look and try to clean up the copy or the version there, absolutely.
Thank you.
And this is available on the town website under the agenda material.
It is, probably in a blurry form, so we'll try to, not intentional by any means.
Thank you. Do we have any other questions? Okay. Seeing none, we can move to a vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes 8-0. Okay, the next item we have is order OFY 23-061, transfer order, end-of-year transfers. The Budget and Finance meeting today voted.
We voted 2-0 to recommend to the council.
Thank you. And the Finance Committee voted 7-0 to recommend at their 6/12/23 meeting. I'll defer to the town manager for details.
Thank you, Mr. President. This is I'll call it the standard, but this is our normal routine end-of-year transfer. We do as good a job budgeting as we possibly can do, and we project out where we think we will be expending money and where we think the needs will be. We obviously don't always get it exactly right, and that can be for a whole slew of different reasons. Unexpected expenses, we could have jobs that go unfilled, as we've had for the last couple of years. So it necessitates a moving around of money, so to speak, from line items that have excesses to line items that have deficits. And so that essentially is what this is. So you can see at the top of the order are the sources of funding, and then at the bottom are the uses of the additional money. But I'm happy to answer any questions as it relates to the transfers.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the town manager? All right, seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we can move to a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes 8-0. The next item, item E, is order OFY23-063, transfer order CPA transfer to Memorial Building Capital Project Fund. At the Budget and Finance meeting this evening, they voted
Budget and Finance voted 2-0 to recommend.
2-0 to recommend, and the Finance Committee voted 7-0 to recommend at their 6/12/23 meeting. I'll defer to the town manager for details on this.
On this one, which just, by the way, I think you skipped over the water treatment plant, but we can come back to that one.
Yeah, I'll come back to that.
The CPC, Community Preservation Committee, submitted a recommendation to transfer $95,000 to cover the overages. As you recall, the council voted to cover some of those overages in your last capital order, and this will finalize the transfer of funds that are necessary to complete that project and be done with it.
Thank you. Any questions for the town manager? Yes?
No questions for the town manager, but one for you. I think we just skipped the High Street treatment plan completion.
You are correct. I will, right after this, I'll come back to it. Thanks for catching that. Any questions on this one for the town manager? Okay. Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So,
Second.
second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we can move to a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. And then moving back to item D, order OFY23-062, transfer order Water High Street Treatment Plant completion. At the Budget Finance meeting this evening, they voted
We voted 2-0 to recommend.
2-0 to recommend, and the Finance Committee voted 7-0 to recommend at their 6/12/23 meeting. I'll defer to the town manager for an introduction to this one.
Thank you, Mr. President. This transfer of funds covers those portions of the High Street water treatment plant construction that were not covered by state revolving fund loans. So anytime we can avail ourselves of revolving fund loans, it's to our advantage because year to year, well, one, we can get a very favorable percentage interest rate. Sometimes we can get a 0% interest rate, and then on occasion, we can also qualify for debt forgiveness on our annual payments. So where we can't, for those items that are not eligible for state revolving fund funding, we have to fund those elsewhere. So our plan from the get-go on the High Street Water Plant was to fund those items out of retained earnings, and that's what you see before you is the transfer of funds to pay for the items that are not eligible for SRF funding.
Thank you. Any questions for the town manager? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those opposed say nay. Motion passes 8-0. In the last order, item F, order OFY23-064, ratification of 2% COLA, cost of living, what's the A stand for? Cost of living adjustment, thank you. Increase in retirement benefits. This evening, Budget and Finance meeting voted,
We voted 2-0 to recommend.
and Finance Committee voted 7-0 to recommend in their 6/12/23 meeting. I'll defer to the town manager for an intro.
Thank you, Mr. President. You have among your numbers somebody who knows much more about retirement than I do, but I will give you my best effort. The retirement, back in 22, I believe, Governor Baker signed a law that allowed retirement systems to go above their normal 3% max and allow up to a 5% increase in COLA increases for retirees on the first, in our case, in the Plymouth County retirement system, on the first $16,000 of retirement income. That was due to, at the time, and still, the increase, fairly substantial increase in the inflation rate, and it was a recognition by the state legislature and the governor that retirees were going to be hit with sort of abnormal inflationary rates. The legislation required in systems like ours required that the retirement board vote it, then it required that the county commissioners vote it, and then it required that it go to the local communities and that 2/3 of the communities essentially had to ratify the decision of the retirement board and the county commissioners. That is what is in front of you tonight. We have 147 retirees. At worst case, I believe we calculated the impact of Bridgewater to be about $47,000. That doesn't affect our budget this year. It comes through our assessment, retirement assessment, but we would expect to see that in the years out. But it's a one-time adjustment, a one-time 2% adjustment, and so it's in front of you and a recommendation by me to approve.
Thank you. Do we have any questions for the town manager? All right, I would entertain a motion.
Got one.
Oh, sorry.
Through you to the town manager, is there a reason why we're not doing the 5% or at least 3% increase?
So that, it's a little bit confusing. So we are doing essentially the 5%, we're recommending the 5%, or we're ratifying the 5% to the county. It's made up of the normal 3% that they can do anyway. So the county retirement system can do a 3% increase, which they presumably have done.
Yeah.
So this is the extra 2%,
All right.
which gets us to 5.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any additional questions for the town manager? All right, I would entertain a motion to approve.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we can move to a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. The motion passes 8-0. All right, moving on in the agenda to item M, old business. We have none. Moving on to item N, new business. We have 2 items of new business. I do actually want to introduce new business. There was some confusion. I received some calls about, from some residents who thought we might be voting some of these items. So I just want to describe briefly what the new business is. So the purpose of the new business portion of the agenda is to publicly introduce legislation that'll come up at a future meeting for a vote, for a final vote. So these items are not being voted, or don't have a final vote this evening, but they are being introduced so that the public is aware, can kind of hear what they are, pull together some thoughts, and in the case where you have feedback about the items, you can contact a counselor to share your feedback so they can factor that into an upcoming vote. So again, these are new items on the agenda that will be voted at a future meeting. Okay, so the first item we have is item A, Order O FY 23-065, the acceptance of a gift, BSU, $55,000. I'll defer to the town manager for an update.
Mr. President, this is an annual gift that BSU has forwarded to the town over the course of the past number of years. And they asked that it be allocated in thirds to the fire department, the police department, and our highway department, roadways department. And it's generally used to fund either educational programs for those firefighters or police officers, or capital items. It's not part of the normal operational expense. So we do use it well, and we certainly appreciate the money that they give us on a yearly basis.
Thanks. Any questions for the town manager?
Make a mo,
Just
Councilor
a
Lindy?
quick question is, how long has that figure been forwarded to the town?
It used to be 51,000 up until probably 4 years ago, and then it got increased to 55. And prior to that, during my tenure, I think every year they've given us either that amount. Some years it's been a little more for different reasons, but yeah, been about 10 years at least.
Any other questions? Okay.
make a motion to refer to Budget and Finance Committees.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, we'll move to a voice vote. All those in favor of referring to Budget and Finance Committee, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes 8-0. The next item we have is item B, under new business. This is Order OFY 230066, contract amendment for the town manager. This is being introduced by me as the president of the town council. I'd like to take a few minutes just to introduce it. We did receive some questions, so I want to make sure that there's some clarity in what it is. So just for background, in a recent town council meeting, we did vote to adjust the town clerk's salary to better align with market conditions. And earlier this evening, we took a similar vote to align the retirement fund with market conditions and cost of living. So in that same theme, this order is amending the town manager's contract, the salary portion of the town manager's contract, also to better align with market conditions. And it's also recognizing our town's growing scale, increasing budget complexity, and also increasing scope of services. So that's one of the changes, is an adjustment to salary to better align with market conditions. The second change, the amendment proposes to change the term of the contract by extending it an additional 2 years. And the reason for that is, the reason I'm sponsoring that is to ensure consistency in delivering the town council's stated multi-year priorities for Bridgewater. So those priorities include downtown revitalization. We saw a presentation on that tonight. That is an enormous multi-year project that requires consistent leadership and commitment for delivery. We also have a priority for roadways. We heard some comments about that and the significant investment required there over multiple years to get our roads to where they need to be. We've heard some conversation in prior meetings about water infrastructure, and we've already made some significant investments, but need more, and that's also a multi-year commitment. And then lastly, there's some significant community amenity projects, such as the fire station and some of the park work. So these are big multi-year projects. So the proposal that I'm sponsoring to amend the contract term, the extra 2 years, allows us to ensure consistent leadership and commitment through those bigger, very important priorities for town, the town of Bridgewater. So that's a little bit of the background. Maybe just a few other details. The number itself in the salary recommendation did come from third-party data. We did look at information from an outside party about similar compensation levels for similar scopes of services, our region of the country, kind of the expertise required in our specific case, and the number that we landed on is aligned with those market comps. So maybe with that introduction, I would entertain a motion to keep this at the council for a vote at our next scheduled meeting.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. I would open it up to any discussion.
Are we going to discuss this tonight, or are we going to discuss it in next meeting, or? You want to just discuss it staying at the council level, not the details?
Ideally,
Yes,
yes.
be next
Fine.
meeting.
I think we could keep it at the council level, yeah.
Okay. Any other discussion on that?
No?
Okay. We can move to a voice vote. All those in favor of keeping this at the council and voting the next meeting, say aye.
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 All those opposed, say nay. Motion passes 8-0. And again, aligned with the introduction to the section, the idea for this is to introduce it so that people can think it through and contact their elected councilors with ideas or thoughts in preparation for that next meeting. Okay, moving on to citizens' comments. We have, do we have anyone from the community that would like to speak? We have no one? Okay.
Just ask them to take the microphone.
Yep. So, moving on. I see none. We can move on to council comments. No, it's okay. We'll move on to councilor comments. Why don't we start with Councilor Chase?
Thank you, Mr. President. I'd like to just mention I think the councilors here tonight would share this sentiment that the proposal that we had discussed earlier in the evening, based on the presentation from our Community and Economic Development Director, Bob Rulli, is very encouraging and exciting. I think that it is, I think, rather unexpected, but happily so. We can say that we've seen progress that we wouldn't have anticipated necessarily in a short period of time. And I think certainly hats off to Mr. Rulli and his staff throughout the town, because I think that being able to show a very positive result in such a short period of time is very encouraging. I think otherwise, I would just comment that with the 4th of July holiday upon us, I would like to encourage those citizens who feel they have an opportunity to contribute to that effort. As we have mentioned in this council chamber on many occasions, it is a privately funded celebration, and I know that there is still need for the organizers to solicit some additional contributions to make it the spectacular event we know that they have the ability to put forward. So I look forward to it, and I encourage anyone else who has an opportunity to make a small donation toward the effort, I would urge you to do so. And that is all I have.
Great. Thank you, Councilor Chase. Councilor Murphy?
Nothing tonight, Mr. President.
No comments. Councilor George?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just 4th of July, I couldn't agree with Councilor Chase more. I also just want to point out to people the capital plan. I don't think people tend to spend a lot of time on it. I would say that anyone who plans on being in Bridgewater for an extended period of time should take a look at that. As I think Councilor either Gallagher or someone pointed out, I mean, this is a plan, but it's not something that, we've approved that's going to happen. But I think it does paint a picture of what some of the priorities are going to be for future discussion, both for people on this council as well as maybe people that aren't on it. So I think it would be in everyone's best interest to take some time, go through it. Hopefully it'll be cleaned up a little bit so we can see some of the numbers better. But I also think it paints a really good picture of, what potentially the future of Bridgewater looks like, and unfortunately how much it's going to cost. So that's it. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you, Councilor George. Councilor Gallagher?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just the only thing I'll mention tonight is the 4th of July. The 4th of July committee has been working very hard all year long, as my previous councilors have said. I think it's safe to say, because I had one of the members of the committee at my coffee on Saturday morning, and we're pretty much there with the funding, but it's never too late to continue to donate. And they're going to have an event, I think, Friday night at Emma's Pub, where he's going to be donating 20% of sales to the 4th of July committee. It's never too late to donate, but it looks like we're getting there, and all the events that we normally have on the 4th of July here will take place, which brings me to what the council does on the 4th of July, and we have a banner. Right, Eric? We have a banner.
We do.
And we march with the banner. Usually, it's the new guys that hold the banner, but I always end up holding the banner, so whoever can show up and lets the people of the town
Excuse me, not
know.
just you.
Well, I always
Have
hold
the
the banner.
banner. That's why.
I have the banner. It's in my garage.
Oh, okay. March with the banner. Hold the
So we march with the banner, so hopefully all of us can show up on the 4th and march in the parade and wave to everybody and just enjoy the day, because it's always a great day in Bridgewater. It's capped off with an awesome fireworks display. So it's never too late to donate, but they're comfortable that they'll be able to put on all the events they normally do. That's all I have tonight.
Thank you. Councilor Perry?
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, just echo those sentiments. If you can contribute to the 4th of July, they can not have too much fun, so if you can contribute, please do, to make sure we have a fun and exciting 4th of July. Hopefully the weather will cooperate with us this year. Second, I just want to congratulate all the people that were reappointed to the various subcommittees and I appreciate their volunteerism. We need more people to do that. So if anyone out there wants to get involved, reach out to our other counselors, throw your name in the hat, and we'll certainly find a place for you. Excuse me. Sorry for dealing with a bunch of allergies here tonight. They're hitting me pretty hard. And then I had one other thing I wanted to talk about. What was that? I can't remember, so I will defer to it's the allergies. It's blowing my mind here. But that's all I have tonight. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you. Councilor McKinnon?
Thank you, Mr. President. I just want to echo what everyone said about the 4th of July. It's 14 days away from today, and I got a few buckets dumped on my head. Dennis got me, Mark got me at the event. It was all right. It was pretty good. And speaking of that, this Saturday, Al and Fire for Effect are trying up a Summerfest idea. If you're over 21, I believe he's asking for a $10 donation, and all that money is going to go towards Easter Sales, which used to be Bridge Center, which is off Pine Street, and they do a lot of work with children with disabilities. I used to plow it years ago. They have horses all over the place, big buildings. The buildings are in a little bit of disarray, and it'd be good if a lot of people in the community can show up and show a little support, rally around the people that try to help out those with disabilities. So
When is that?
that is this Saturday, the 24th, at the Town River Landing. And you can park at the BSU parking lot right across the street. So that'll be it. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilor Lindy?
I would like to commend Councilor McKinnon and all the folks over there for the events that are going on over there. If you hadn't mentioned it, I would. I think Summerfest is a great idea and it's a good cause. I don't need to echo again about the 4th of July because we got to get that thermometer up there so we can pay for it all. And very excited about the downtown revitalization. Looking forward to hearing more and seeing more. I'm going to go to that probably similar presentation tomorrow night at the Bridgewater Business Association over at Barrett's at 6 o'clock. Just mentioning there's a walk for Alzheimer's coming up, and Leslie Barbosa, who's very involved over at the Senior Center, has an event tomorrow night also at 5 o'clock at Crispy's to raise money for that cause. I'd like to thank all the people that are reappointed and those who just got appointed, because basically we always thank veterans for their service. I want to thank community members for their service because I think that's what makes the town tick. So thank you all.
Thank you. I have a couple of announcements and then maybe a few comments. So the first is I do want to thank the Juneteenth committee. Unfortunately, because of the weather, we weren't able to have the Juneteenth celebration this past Saturday. And I can't say enough good things about what that team has done over the last 6 months to try to prepare for that day. Literally multiple meetings a week, reaching out to the whole community, finding speakers, finding sponsors, finding event venues, preparing everything, electronics, and then ultimately the weather didn't cooperate and they weren't able to host the celebration. But hopefully that didn't take away from the importance of the day. And I strongly encourage you, if you know any of the people on that committee, please reach out just to kind of thank them for their community involvement, trying to pull that together. And I'm excited to see it even bigger and better next year. Similar sentiment around July 4th. Would love to see, that thermometer get to the top. And I think we're so close. Our community usually comes through in the end, but it has to come through in the end. Don't assume that someone else is going to step up. So if you haven't donated, please do. And then lastly, I did want to share just some feedback I've gotten about some of the things on the agenda. So as president, people often reach out to me with feedback to share about items on the agenda, and specifically the town manager's contract. I did receive multiple communications, both in favor and against. Those opposed were citing concerns around sort of some declining committee involvement, and some concern with follow-up with the committees. And I received some communications around that, and those in favor cited progress on town finances, water infrastructure, and public safety as reasons to support. But again, if you have thoughts on this as a community member, the way that you share those thoughts is to reach out to us and share them with us. And then ultimately, when we vote on it, we can represent you to the best of our ability. So feel free to share any ideas, not just with the town council president, although I appreciate that. Please reach out to your own counselors, because ultimately I can't share your information directly with everyone outside of meetings. So the best way to get that information to everyone is to share it directly. I think that is it. I would entertain. Moving on, we do not have an executive session this evening, so I'd go to item R, adjournment. I would entertain.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, we can go to a voice vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. Motion passes. We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
Thanks.
It's still light out.